It's good to see all of you. Hannah, y'all, that was awesome. It's good to have we've been going with a stripped down set for a bit, and so it was good to have T-Ray back. What's up, man? We love you. It's always a gift. We're in a series right now called Practice the Way of Jesus, and we've been dealing with this for a bit and talking about what it looks like. We talked about just the idea of practice spending time with him in order to become like him and then do what he did. And so we're talking today about this practice of secrecy, which may not be something that you have thought about, heard about, anything like that, but Jesus actually talks about practicing secrecy a lot. We're really good at hiding our sin, but not hiding the good things that we do. And so Jesus talks a lot about hiding our righteousness and things like that. And so we're going to talk about that today, give you some things that maybe you haven't thought of before. I love this practice just as a personal, just like from my personality. I like interesting things, and like this is something that I think is really interesting to think about. And so my hope for this is that you would be like, that's really cool. Let's give that a shot because it sounds really intriguing and fun. I think following Jesus gets a bad rap. I think a lot of people are like, it's rules and it's this, and it's like, I think it's more like a journey and an adventure. At least that's my experience. And so if yours isn't that way, I just would challenge you that you're doing it wrong, and it's better than what you think. So this is definitely one of those practices. It's like Jesus gets a little creative, and he's like, hey, try this because this will be fun. So just something to think about. But Matthew 6, this is Jesus talking, Sermon on the Mount. Matthew 6, 1 through 6, and then 16 to 18. But this is what Jesus says. He says, be careful not to practice your righteousness in front of others to be seen by them. If you do, you will have no reward from your Father in heaven. So, when you give to the needy, do not announce it with trumpets as the hypocrites do to be honored by others. Truly, I tell you, they've received their reward in full. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret. Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you. And when you pray, do not be like the hypocrites, for they love to pray to be seen by others. Truly, I tell you, they've received their reward in full. But when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen. And then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you. When you fast, do not look somber as the hypocrites do, for they disfigure their faces and show others that they are fasting. Truly, I tell you, they've received their reward in full. But when you fast, do so in a way that it will not be obvious to others that you are fasting, but only to your Father who is unseen. And your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you. This is the word of the Lord. Last week I mentioned this. I took Teddy to Disney World, and it was awesome down in Orlando. And it was one of these things that, like, I was nervous he was going to pass out from hyperventilation because everything we saw, he was like, just super excited. So for instance, we drive into the Art of Animation where we're staying, and we stayed at the Lion King building, which is his favorite. He loves lions and the whole thing. And so the front of our building has Simba and his father Mufasa on it, and he's like, automatically. We haven't even literally gotten out of the car yet. Nothing's happened yet, and so freaks out in the car, which I'm so excited that he's excited. I'm hyperventilating for him. But then we get out of the car and go into the building, and like the what you're walking, the carpet is like Lion King, and he's it's like a jungle, So then we make it to our room, and our little wristbands open the door, and he's like, this is amazing, this is great, and he could do it, and so then we get into the room, and the whole room is jungle themed Lion King, and there's giraffes on the wall, and there's the I don't know the names of these people, but there's like animal characters on the thing, and then it's like every drawer he opens, there's another like hidden character, and so there's like a Murphy bed that you like pull out of the wall, and he's like, I thought there would be like Simba in here somewhere, and we pull the Murphy bed down, and Simba's on the wall, and he's like, no! He's like, so, yes! He's like, I knew it. And I was like, how did you know it? And it was just this thing that was like, every step we took was another moment for him just to freak out. And so we're not even in the park yet. We're in our room, where we sleep. That's where we're at. We go to the bathroom, not all together, but we just walk in, and like the shower curtain has like the hedgehog, what is it? No, warthog. What's his name? Pumbaa? It has Pumbaa on it. He's like, Pumbaa! I'm like, it's just a picture. It's not even the thing. Like, you will see the real character here in a second. But then we go outside just into the courtyard, and there's like these huge playgrounds and all that stuff, and this gigantic pool. And anyways, we've been there for an hour, and he's, needs to like sit down and like check his pulse. But then, then the next day we go to Magic Kingdom, and it just gets more and more magical. And then we go the next day to Animal Kingdom, and Animal Kingdom is his jam because it's basically a zoo with rides, and the Tree of Life, which he was super into, and it's gigantic and it's wonderful. And so, again, every step we took became more and more wonderful. The more, like, there was more and more wonder, there was more and more magic for him in this whole experience. And it was just wonderful. It was great to be a part of, and just to see him do that. That's why we wanted to take him at 6. But I could tell the whole story. But the reason I just shared that, just probably not as quickly as you wanted me to, but the reason I shared that is because in many ways, practicing Jesus, what he wants in practicing the things that he's asked you to do, he wants that every step you take a little bit further to be exactly like that, where you experience a little bit more wonder and a little bit more awe and a little bit more glory and a little bit more love, peace, joy, and all the things that you're longing for. He wants everything to be like, and it's supposed to be like that. And so he sets these practices up the way that Disney sets up all these different things for every single step to be the more steps you take, the better it gets. The practices are a way to actually enter into this space. And if you notice in the text, it constantly said, then if you'll do this, if people will practice this, if you'll do this, then your Father will see what is unseen and reward you. He says it 3 times, and secrecy is one of those things. Like, he doesn't say that a lot, that the Father will reward you, but about secrecy, if you do something that's unseen, your Father who is unseen will reward you. God is a rewarding God. Salvation is free, and you can't earn it. But if you practice secrecy, he promises, like, my Father wants to reward you. He only rewards people who just do these things. When they practice this, there's a reward available. And so if you choose to practice secrecy, a reward is available to you. If you choose not to, the reward's still available. You're just not going to receive it. And so he's constantly talking about this and saying, I want you practicing the way of Jesus to be a space where you practice it and then experience the reward. If you trust me, you'll actually experience those things. And so secrecy, again, is one of the ways where he constantly is doing that and saying, like, if you'll just take another step, you'll experience more wonder. And if you'll take one more step, you'll experience something greater. If you'll take one more step, you'll experience some of these things. And so this is what he talks about when practicing secrecy. Definition of secrecy, just so you know, secrecy is practicing serving others in secret without them knowing. Makes sense? It's called secrecy. Being anonymously generous and not displaying to anyone the good or righteous things that you do. It's the practice of doing something for God alone because only he will know about it. He's the only one that will see it. And so I want to talk about 3 things very quickly of why we should practice secrecy just in general, but then what they will actually offer to us as, like, what are some of the rewards that happen in this? What is he talking about? And so 3 things. 1, secrecy deepens relationships. Secrecy deepens relationships. Psychology Today, you can look this up, says that secrets kept between friends bolster their communication and their closeness. Secrets kept between friends, notice the word kept. Secrets kept between friends bolster their communication and their closeness. And then Frank Warren, a guy that was on a TED Talk, he had a TED Talk called 500,000 Secrets and started an organization based on secrets. Anyways, this is what he says. He says, I believe secrets are the currency of closeness. And so basically, secrets buy closeness. They purchase closeness. It's money to get close to someone. By sharing them, we develop stronger relationships. And again, I mean, you guys know this. If it could go badly. You share a secret with somebody and they don't keep it, then it goes the exact opposite way. And we're not close anymore. We hate each other, and I'm going to talk about your mom later or something. Like, it could go really, really bad. But it's still true that really close friends share secrets. It's just true. It makes their relationship theirs. It makes their relationship no one else's. It builds a bond between you that no one else has. And you know this, I mean, intuitively, you have friends that you have things that are just between you and that person. Some of you have secret handshakes. Secret is the word. Secret handshakes are ways you have secret inside jokes that something will happen, you two will bust out laughing, and everybody else is like, what just happened? Like, what just took place is, like, you have a secret insider thing that's available to you, and it makes your relationship close. You have those secrets because you're close, but it's also true that you are close because you have those secrets. Those things that you share that's just between you two, those things that you have that's just between you, it doesn't just you don't just have them because you're close. You have those things, and therefore it's bonded you together. It's actually made you closer. Secrets kept between 2 people. It is psychologically proven to make you closer in your relationship. And so it makes sense then that Jesus is like, hey, I want a rich, deep relationship with you. And so part of this rich, deep relationship that I have with you has to include sharing secrets. It has to include this. So I want you to practice doing things for other people that only I know about. And those will be our secrets that we share together, one another, that nobody else knows about. And therefore, our relationship, we will grow closer because that's what people do who are growing closer. But we'll also grow closer because the secret itself is something that you only share with another person. And it will bond your relationship. And again, this is just brain work. This is just psychology. It's just the way that we were built and made. Secrets bond you and create closeness with you. And Jesus is like, I want to be as close to you in a relationship with you as any of your best friends or anything like that. I want it to be as real as that, and I want it to be as important as that, and I want it to be as intimate as that. I want you to have secret things just between us two. And yes, he keeps your sin and all the rest of it. And he's a confidant. He's not going to announce that to the world. He's not going to do that. But he also wants to have secret other things that he keeps you, things that you're proud of and happy about that you only talk about with him. And this is what he wants for you. So it makes sense that he's doing this. Christian author Elaine Prevelet says this. She talks about this idea. She goes, when I first entered the nunnery, she's a nun, in my early 20s, I decided to do one small act of kindness each day that was completely unknown to anyone. And so I would keep my eyes peeled for something helpful I could do that no one would see. I wanted to be absolutely sure that I was doing it for no one but God, whom I loved with a kind of simple and quite passionate fervor. I made beds, I folded clothes, I tidied, at least one a day, and no one knew. That very small act each day gave me enormous joy, and it gave me a kind of inner excitement to do this only for God. It was a secret between me and him. Secrecy just deepens. Again, if they blow your secret out to the world, it doesn't deepen your relationship, it ruins it, but he's not going to do that. What he's asking for is like, I want secrecy between me and you. I want you to practice this, and it's not just because I want you to do good things and I don't want you to get any credit for it. I want this because this is what builds our relationship. And so for some of you, you're dying to be close to the Lord and feel his closeness. He's given you a pathway to do that. You want to feel close to him? Do something with him and him only. That's how you get close to somebody. You do something with them and with them only. If I want to go and celebrate my wife's anniversary or our anniversary of 10 years, I'm not going to invite my entire neighborhood and all of my friends to be like, come to this anniversary thing. I'm not going to do that. I want to spend time with just her, and I want her to spend time with just me. Alex Wright's in the house. Anyways, I love you. I'm sorry, I just saw you right there. Everybody cheer for Alex Wright. Love you, man. Sorry, just saw him. Secrecy deepens your relationship with God. And I'm ADD, so I couldn't even, there's no way I was going to make it through the rest of it without saying something. So, secrecy will deepen your relationship with God. It does something, it sets something in you with him that's only yours. And y'all know the best relationships you have something like that with those people. And some of you are like, I just want a friend that I can share my secrets with. Some of you are desperate for something like this. The Lord wants that with you. He wants to be that close with you. Other things, like some of you were like, well, what if I worship him, and what if I read my Bible, and what if I pray? Yes, those things will build and deepen your relationship in different ways. But those things can also become perverted. You can stand up here and worship and trying to lead other people in worship, but really not worshiping him. You're doing it for yourself. You can read the Bible, and I just read the Bible to have something to post on Instagram or to send to somebody just to show people that I read the Bible. I must be really wise. I must be really smart. There are times when you pray and you're like, I'm praying. I got a good prayer too, man. This girl's going to love it. I used to do that when I stopped being a pagan and was not pursuing girls the old way. Then I found a new way to pursue girls. If you prayed really well, girls really like that in Christian circles. And I was like, I'm going to crush it. I stayed up all night one night deciding I'm going to pray the next morning just to impress a girl that I wanted to date me. And I was like, so I prepped the prayer all night in my brain, and I crushed it the next day. Jesus didn't get any of that prayer. That was all for me. That was just, I'm just trying to look cool in front of this Christian girl, and it's a weird way to look cool, but it worked. Anyway, those things can become perverted, and then all of a sudden you're not even praising him to praise him. You're praising him to receive praise. You're not even reading the Bible to read the Bible. You're reading the Bible to tell people you're reading the Bible. Not even praying to pray to him. You're praying to pray to show others that you're really smart and stuff. Those things, but secrecy is not that way. Secrecy is secret. No one else could praise you for it except him, because nobody else knows. And that's what he wants. He wants something for you there. So that's the first one. He wants to be close to you as a best friend is, and so he wants secrets with you. He wants you to do things that are secret between you and him. Second is that secrecy frees us from our addiction of being seen. We have an addiction of being seen. and being noticed, feeling important. We have an addiction to feel important. This is why girls wear less clothing than they should, because they want to be seen. They want other people to gawk and to look. They want this addiction to be seen. This is why guys rev their weird engines on the street, and it's like, and you're like, yeah, you're cool, bro. Like, we don't even see your face, man. Like, it's just your car. We don't know you. It's not like, oh, look, Jim. Like, no, we don't even know. No one's giving you money. Give him some money. Listen to his car. But people do that. This is why adults get bigger houses, fancier cars. This is why people buy fancier stuff to show off to people. It's like, I want to be seen. Look at my shoes. Look at my hat. Look at my face. Look at whatever. This is why people can't keep secrets, because they want other people to know that they have information, and they want to be the one that, like, I'll show you that I'm more important because I know the secret. So what I want to do is, if you're like, I don't have an addiction to being seen, yes, you do, but we'll take a test. You ready? Let's take a test. If you answer yes to any of these, you have an addiction of being seen. You ready? I failed this. 12 for 12. I answered yes to all of them. I think there's 12. There may be more. Question, yes or no. When a person shares, we don't have these on the screen, just listen to me. When a person shares information that you already know, they share information, someone shares information you already know, do you feel the need to tell them that you already knew that? Are you like, oh, she told you about that? Well, she told me yesterday. And it's like, why do you feel the need to one-up my story? Why do you feel the need to say, like, oh, I already knew that information? Just say, okay, that's it. Addiction to be like, but no, I'm more important because I knew before you did. Ooh, I failed that one bad. All right. When you help someone with something, but they're the only one getting credit, do you then decide to go, I got to make sure they know that I should receive some credit too? Oh, good for you. These are theoretical too. Just answer in your head just to not be a distraction or to out yourself. All right. When you post on social media, do you sort through the bad pictures and only post the ones that look best of you? When you take a photo for social media, do you just take the one? I just need one photo. Click, and then just post it without even looking at it? Or do you take a million and choose the best ones and filter through? Addiction to being seen. Does it bother you when you message someone, they read it and don't respond? Be honest, it is. It bothers you. I left on red, you saw it, you didn't say anything. Do you worry about what people will think about you if you were to lift your hands during worship? Express yourself during worship. Do you think, what will people think if I do this? We have the, not just of being seen, we have the thought that everybody in the room is looking at us. Like, nobody knows the words of the song. Everybody's glued here, and yet, even us, we're glued to the screen because we don't know the words of the song, and we're worried maybe people, if I put my hands up, they'll all collectively turn to me and look at me and be like, I don't know the words, but, oh, you see it lift his hands. Like, it's like this really weird thing. If you worry about that, addiction of being seen, do you ever, I said this one earlier, have you ever prayed a prayer that you knew would sound good? Like, I'm about to crush this prayer time. You ready? I'm going to use big words. I'm going to say sanctification. Like, have you ever not prayed out loud because you worried what people would think of you? Have you ever spent so long deciding what to wear that you were late to the thing you were going to? Just constantly changing clothes, looking in the mirror and going, that won't work, that won't work. Have you ever just not gone? There's nothing to wear. I can't go. Have you ever purchased anything to make you look better in the eyes of those around you? Have you ever tried to show off how talented you are? They call this just showing off. You're good at the sport, some instrument singing. Have you ever gotten better at your sport when the girl showed up that you were trying to impress? It was like my whole life in high school. I'm pretty sure I got into college on a scholarship because girls showed up to my baseball games. Have you ever tried to one-up somebody's story? Oh, you did that? Yeah, me too, but better. Oh, that's cool for you, but I did it before you and first, and I'm the better one, and you suck. Do you decide whether a group photo is a good picture based on how you look in the photo? Everybody else's eyes are closed or they're not even there, but you're like, but I'm crushing it, so I'm posting it. It's a great photo because I look good in it. Have you ever blamed someone else for a mistake that you made? Have you ever just not taken the blame? Like, they know something's wrong. Something happened, somebody did it, and I'm just not going to own up. Because I have a fear. I need to be seen correctly. I don't want to be seen in this light. Have you ever lied about knowing stuff? This drives me crazy. Have you ever lied about knowing stuff that you don't actually know just because people are discussing it? You ever seen the movie? Yeah, I love that movie. Never seen it. You don't even own a television. Like, what are you talking about? I used to have a friend that was like, I always talk about these books that I'm reading. He's like, yeah, I've read that, but like, remind me what the premise was. I'm like, bro, you just didn't read it. Like, I could read it to you, but you've never read it. Like, it's fine. Just say, no, I haven't read that. I don't know who you're talking about. We do this with names. Like, have you heard, oh, you know so-and-so? And it's like, kind of. Like, I know somebody with a first name, but no. Feel like you have to show them you know more than you do. How often, last one, how often are you jealous of other people getting more attention than you? We have an addiction of being seen. Adele Calhoun, who wrote a book on spiritual disciplines and talks about secrecy, says this. She goes, anonymity or being anonymous. Anonymity is not our thing. Recognition, accolades, and the limelight are. We want people to know just how generous, smart, successful, and popular we are. But we don't want to appear to be someone who brags. And so we come up with subtle and socially approved ways of promoting ourselves and our image. We give money to causes where our name just happens to get out. We name drop about who and what we know. We let slip where we volunteer. Every good deed we do sees the light of day, and every juicy secret we know comes out in our next conversation. We have an addiction of being seen and especially feeling important. The issue and the tragedy of all this is that we do that because we need people to see us as something in order, we need them to see us as important in order for us to feel important. Like, I need you to see my good thing and then compliment me on that, and now I'm valuable. But I'm only valuable if you see it and then compliment me on it. And the issue with that is, what that means is that you don't naturally feel valuable. You don't naturally feel important. You don't naturally feel like you have any worth. You only feel worthy or valuable if someone looks at you doing a good thing and goes, good job. And then you're like, oh, fine, I can breathe. If someone looks at your clothing and goes, oh, you look great today. If that doesn't happen, it's like, I don't feel like I do look great today if that doesn't happen. If I don't get the likes on the thing, it's like, we have this thing, and it's like, the tragedy is that just proves that you don't feel the way that you're supposed to feel. You don't feel valuable, you don't feel worthy, you don't feel beautiful, you don't feel any of the words that God would speak over you fearfully and wonderfully, but you don't feel any of that stuff. You only feel it if somebody else gives it to you, and you're supposed to walk in that. You're supposed to constantly experience feeling worthy and feeling valuable and never having to go to anybody else in order to receive that. You're supposed to constantly live in that, and this is why Jesus calls us to practice secrecy. Because we have an addiction to being seen, and we have this addiction of feeling important, and then we go to other people. He's like, practice doing things where other people can't compliment you, because it cuts off that addiction where it starts. It completely shuts it. It's like weaning off of a drug or something like that. It's like it just flies in the face of the addiction. And you're forced to do something without anybody ever going to congratulate you or praise you. You're forced to do something where that happens, and all you're left with is nothing, and then God to tell you what he thinks of you. And so in the absence of their praise, all you're left with is for God to say something to you. What are his? I don't know what their thoughts of me are. I did something in secret. They don't even know I did it. What do people think about me? What is God? When they're gone, God's thoughts are all that we have, and his thoughts are constantly. Even before you did that, I loved you, and even after you did that, I love you. You're valuable before. You're valuable after. Jesus calls us to practice secrecy because it forces us to go against our addiction. Dallas Willard says this. He goes, "The discipline of secrecy will help us break the grip of human opinion over our souls. Practicing secrecy will form you into a person." Notice this. Practicing secrecy will form you into a person who can receive praise without needing to add any self-deprecating, saying bad stuff about yourself. And it will give you freedom from the hunger for fame and recognition. And so what he's saying there is, like, some people receive praise and they're like, no, not me, not me. You're still worried about you. You're just worried about people thinking too highly of you. And he's like, but it's also true that you're worried about receiving fame, or I also need to receive some fame and recognition because you're worried about people thinking too little of you. He goes, but both are the same. People who come across very humble because they're you say, you did great today, and they're like, no, not me, I'm nobody. Still thinking about yourself. People who do great, nobody says anything, and sitting there going, where's my praise? Where's the things? You're worried about people thinking too little of you. They're worried about people thinking too high of you. You're still just worried about you. And so what Dallas Willard is saying, what Jesus is trying to get us to is like, hey, there's freedom here. If you practice secrecy, it cuts off that addiction completely. And it makes it to where you're doing things that are unseen. And when you're doing things that are unseen, it leaves you with the only one who sees the things that are unseen, and that's the Father. And you have to go like, what do you think of me, God? And it's like, I wrote that down. And I died on the cross to show you, I've told you what I think of you. I love you. I'm not calling you to do this to gain my love. I'm just calling you to do this so that you're set free from other people, from needing other people's love, who will give it to you one day and then steal it from you the next. When you do things that only God knows about, you will gain a sense of self-worth. You will have confidence. You'll feel valuable from him only because he's the only one that actually knows about it. Jesus is trying to tell you to practice this to set you free from the need of being seen. And then third, secrecy helps other people see God. It helps you see him too. I heard a story recently of an atheist who needed money to pay her rent, and a Christian dropped the money off into her mailbox, the atheist mailbox one day, but didn't leave a note. Didn't say anything, just knew of the need and met the need. And when the lady saw the money, even though she was an atheist, when the lady saw the money and no note, she had no one to thank, and so she prayed and thanked God. Atheist, don't believe in God, but with the absence of someone to thank, she was sitting there, well, who do I thank? And she decided, like, this is when I guess God is real. I guess I'll just thank him. And so it was this space where it was like, man, if that woman had just put the money in there and been like, yeah, I'm just a good Christian. I'm just trying to do my thing. She would thank you. And the woman would go, thank you. I don't really believe what you believe, but I'm really grateful for the money. But in the absence of that, in the secrecy of it, God was able to do a work in that woman's heart that the other lady was unable to do, or even to even imagine what was possible. Practicing this also leads people to going like, who do I give thanks to? And when you're not there to give thanks to, he is. And it allows for you not to get any glory, but for him to get all of it, just completely all of the glory. And this is what he calls us to. So here's how we practice it. You ready? I'm going to give you 2. Practice number 1, just something to do this week. Do a good deed without letting anyone find out. Don't tell anybody. Not your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your second girlfriend. Don't tell anybody. Maybe break up with your second girl. Anyways, do a good deed without letting anyone find out. Don't share it. Keep it a secret between you and him, you and the Lord. And just have that between you. This week, and we'll talk about this in your small group too, but choose to do something or to give something to someone anonymously. Ask God to say, hey, I want a secret between me and you. Show me where I can do an anonymous act of kindness that's just between me and you. And then plan and work a bit, put some work in so that it's not seen. And then just consider how you feel after it's done. Because if you have an addiction problem to being seen, there will be this tug and this pull to tell somebody. And then your mind will play games on you. It's like, well, I can tell him because like we tell everything to each other. And it's like, nope, that's your addiction to being seen. You want somebody to think it's amazing. And it's always spoiled. It's rotten when you do it. Do it just for you and the Father. Do it just between you and him. Have a secret between you and him. Second thing is you could practice a secret spiritual discipline. Practice a secret spiritual discipline. Man, this can look like anything, but just a way that you're chasing hard after God that no one else will know. Something you won't post about, something you won't do. And I don't know, it can look like anything. Jesus talks about fasting, practicing not eating food, but not telling anybody. And so you can do that. You can skip a meal, and you'll be hungry, and everybody else will be eating. They're like, what are you doing? Why aren't you eating? And then you'll have to say something that's not a lie. You don't want to be deceptive, but you have to say something like, oh, I'm not eating today. Oh, why not? Like, because I'm not. Let's move on, and then move on. And sometimes it's more challenging than that. But to practice that and to do that just for him, where you're pursuing him just for him. You can read extra in the Bible, and then don't tell people that you're doing that. You don't have to tell them that. You can pray more. You can have a secret space where, like, in the middle of the day, or when you get home, you just leave for 5 minutes, and you go and pray, and people are like, where were you? It's like, I was just in the back. You don't have to tell, but just these secret special moments where you steal away with the Father to pray to him. Again, you guys know this. When you're around people, if you bring your best friend home from school to spend the night, you don't spend a ton of your time around everybody in the room. You guys are like, immediately you get home and you go up to your room by yourself. Like that's what you go that way. That's just what you do with people you're really close to. And so to have something like that just between you and the Lord, where it's like we're going to steal away just for a bit. but practice spiritual disciplines. Again, you can pray about something. Oh, one of the best ones that you can do is you can pray for your enemies. Like you can pray, or someone you're in competition with or something like that, pray for them to win or something like that. Like you pray specifically for them, or you just see a prayer need and you're just praying for it. You see somebody at school that needs something and you might not even know their name, know them at all, anything like that, and you're just praying for it, but you're not telling anybody you're praying for it, and then you see the prayer get answered. You don't have to walk up to them and be like, hey, listen, just so you know, I've been praying for you the last 6 months. Did you get the thing? I give me like a 10% cut of that. Like, no, not that. But like, you're just praying for the thing to happen. And when it does happen, your faith will be built up because like, Father, you heard me. And they'll never know that this was between me and you. This was a thing that we were doing, trying to bless that person. And just experiment with it. Have fun with it. Like, pray for something random and weird, but like, you're just like looking around to see if it happened, but then just don't tell anybody that's happening. I'm telling you, it's fun. You'll really enjoy it, but I promise you, if you do that, it will. These moments, bless you. These moments where you're in this space where you're going like, I just don't feel the Lord. Like, go do something with Him. You don't feel close to Him. Go do something with Him, and He is in the secret place. He's in that space. I encourage you to follow Jesus in this way. Again, Jesus talks about rewarding those who follow Him in this way. He talks about it 3 times. There's reward in doing this. And a lot of it is just closeness with Him and the longings in your heart being fulfilled because they won't be fulfilled any other way but through Him. So there are rewards available for those who have faith enough to follow Him in this practice. My encouragement to you is to figure out one of those things and do it. But work and practice the secrecy thing. Just keep it between you and Him. I promise your relationship with Him will develop and grow. And then your small groups, you guys can talk about some of these things. But at the very end of your small group, there's 3 questions and then the practice. Don't talk about what you're going to do in your small group and be like, oh, here's what my secret I'm going to do this week. It's like, well, it's no longer a secret. You ruined it. So don't do it. You can't do that one. You got to do another one. And so when you get to that point, take some time by yourself to process and go, what could I do this week that's secret that nobody has to know about? I can do this just for the Father. Let me pray. Father, thank you, one, that you have just set these things in the world, that if we do them, if we practice them, we'll actually experience so much more. And then you even say it. You're like, I will reward you. I will reward you for doing these things. And it'll be better, far better than the reward that other people will, this smattering of applause for like, oh, you did really good. It's better than that. You offer something far better. And so, Father, I pray that we grant us faith, help us to believe that. And then, Lord, would you give us just an imagination? You call your people to be creative and imaginative to how we can bless you. And you say that you'll do far beyond our imagination. And so, Father, I pray that you would do that in the hearts of our students, that we would be a people who practice secrecy so that we have secret things between me and you and us and them. But ultimately that blesses others, helps them see you. Lord, this is how you've loved us. And so I pray that we would do that for others in Jesus' name. Amen.